The Committee of the Whole of August 5th, 2020 is hereby called to order. A pleasant good morning, and we are here at the Earl B. Otley Legislative Hall in St. Thomas, where today we'll delve into the Government of the Virgin Islands contract and procurement process. This process has come under scrutiny in recent weeks and is necessary for the legislature to conduct an investigative hearing to determine the legitimacies of these claims and contracts by exercising our oversight responsibilities. The public deserve a true accounting of the process that led to the allegations of impropriety and favoritism. This will involve a closer look at what constitutes exigency circumstances and any contracts awarded under these conditions. Time and time again, this territory has come under intense criticism for what is alleged to be mishandling of public funds, especially those awarded by the federal government. It truly damages our credibility as well as our ability to make other requests for assistance from our federal partners. The legislature has a responsibility to ensure that our funds are being managed in a way that is above reproach, especially at a time when every dollar is stretched as far as possible to meet the needs of our community. Today is not a witch hunt. There is no gotcha moments. It is an opportunity for us to be able to restore the public trust, which is often taken for granted, and transparency, which is critical to ensuring that our public servants are operating in the best interests of the public community they serve. Before we proceed, I'd like to have a moment of silence. I ask my colleagues to join me in memory of Anthony Kingdred Hatchett, the legislative recently retired Director of Transportation, who passed away over the weekend. Our condolences are extended to his family, and we are all grateful for his over 30 years in legislative and central government and his contribution to this institution. Please rise. King Dread, Rest in peace, my brother. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll call.
Senator Alicia Bourne. Senator Barnes present. Senator Oakland Benta. Senator Benta absent. Senator Marvin E. Blyden. Senator Blyden present. Senator Alicia L. de Gazan. Allison L. de Gazan. Senator de Gazan present. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff present. Senator Norval E. Francis.
I'm here.
Jr. Senator Francis Jr. present. Senator Donna Fred Gregory. Senator Fred Gregory absent. Senator Kenneth L. Gittens. Senator Gittens present. Senator Stedman Hodge Jr. Senator Hodge Jr. absent. Senator Myron D. Jackson. Senator Jackson present. Senator Javon E. James Sr. Senator James Sr. present. Senator Stephen D. Payne Sr. Senator Payne Sr. absent. Senator Janelle K. Sarro. Senator Sarro present. Senator Atnell Bobby Thomas. Senator Thomas present. Senator Cord A. Viale. Senator Viale. Kurt A. Viale. Senator Viale present. Mr. President, we have 11 present, 4 absent.
Please mark Senator Donna Fred Gregory as being present and give me the tally, please.
We have 12 present, 3 absent.
Very well. Thank you very much. We do have a quorum and prepared to proceed. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any correspondence to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Letter dated August 5th, 2020, from the Honorable Stephen D. Payne Sr., Senator at Large. Honorable Novell E. Francis Jr., Senate President, Committee of the Whole, 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, 00804. Dear Senate President Francis, due to a family medical emergency, I am respectfully requesting to be excused from the Committee of the Whole meeting, which is scheduled for today, Wednesday, August 5th, 2020, at 10 a.m. in the R.B. Otley Legislative Hall on St. Thomas. Please keep my family in prayers as my immediate family member is transitioning to the next side. I thank you in advance for your understanding in this matter, and I do apologize for any inconveniences this may have caused. Please forward any material that is circulated at this Committee of the Whole meeting to my office. Thank you. Sincerely, Stephen D. Payne Sr., Senator, 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands. Letter dated August 5th, 2020, to the Honorable Novell E. Francis Jr., President, 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands, 36C Strand Street, Grinstead, St. Croix, Virgin Islands, 00820. From the Honorable Stedman Hodge Jr., Senator, 33rd Legislature. Dear President Francis, please excuse my absence from the Committee of the Whole hearing scheduled for Wednesday, August 5th, 2020, beginning at 10 a.m. Please forward any pertinent information disseminated through the hearing to my office so that I can review the same. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Best regards, Stedman Hodge Jr., Senator, 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands. Mr. President, this concludes the reading of the absence letters.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Please record Senator Stephen Payne Sr. as well as Senator Stedman Hodge Jr. as excused, and please give me the tally at this time.
12 present, 1 absent, 2 excused.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. At this time, please read today's agenda into the record.
Agenda for August 5th, 2020, Committee of the Whole. The 33rd Legislature will convene in the Committee of the Whole hearing to consider and review concerns raised about no-bid contracts, proposals, and contracting processes under exigent circumstances. Invited testifiers, Honorable Anthony D. Thomas, Commissioner, Department of Property and Procurement, Honorable Justa E. Encarnacion, Commissioner, Department of Health, Honorable Jean-Pierre L. Oriol, Commissioner, Department of Planning and Natural Resources, Ms. Adrienne Williams Actolin, Director, Office of Disaster Recovery, Mr. Darrell Griffith, Executive Director of Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, Mr. Nathan Thomas, Director of Finance and Administration, Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority, Mr. Michael Pemberton, Co-founder of Vera, Mr. John Ingerman, Chief Executive Officer, The Strategy Group. This concludes the reading, Mr. President.
Just so the record could reflect the correct name, I think you mentioned Nathan Thomas. That should be Nathan Simmons. Please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nathan Simmons, Director of Finance and Administration, Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority.
Very well. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. At this time, we have those individuals appearing by a Zoom, a Skype, and we'll go to the screen. If you could all turn your cameras on at this time, and so that you could be recognized. And we'll start, of course, with Honorable Anthony Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas, of the Department of Property and Procurement.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Commissioner Encarnacion.
Good morning, everyone. Justa Encarnacion, Commissioner of Health.
Good morning, Commissioner. You have other staff on with you this morning?
Yes, I have my Assistant Commissioner, Dr. Nicole Praguel-Sens, as well as my attorney, Dwayne Henry.
Very well. Thank you. If we could just have them speak up so that we could be able to...
Sorry,
yeah.
sir, I also have my Chief Procurement Officer with me, Doris Harley.
Very well.
I do apologize, Senator. I do have my team with me as well.
All right, that's Commissioner Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you identify those individuals at this time? Commissioner Thomas?
Yes,
please?
I can. Yes, I can. Assistant Commissioner, Mrs. Lisa
Can you recall?
M. Alejandro, Assistant Commissioner of Procurement, Ms. Magdalene A. Moranci, Esquire, Chief Legal Counsel, and Ms. Danelle L. Williams, Deputy Commissioner of Procurement.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. At this time, Commissioner DPNR, Commissioner Oriol.
Good morning, Senator. This is Jean-Pierre Oriol, Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources.
Good morning, Commissioner Oriol.
Yes. I'm on one.
Can you turn on your camera, Commissioner Oriol?
It should be on. I'm showing that mine is on right now. So,
Yeah, we just seen your initials
Trying
at this
again?
time. Yes.
See? So something to turn it around.
Flip it like that. Click there.
Director
Thank you.
of Office of Disaster
Senator,
Recovery.
can you see me now?
No, we still can't see you, Commissioner.
Yeah, my camera is on. My light is glaring and it's on. I will try rebooting and come back.
Very well. Director
can see you.
Octolin.
We can see you now.
JP, we can see you.
Okay.
Director Octolin.
No, go back up.
Hi, good morning. Adrienne Williams Actolin, Director, Office of Disaster Recovery.
Morning, Director. Housing, Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, Executive Director Griffith.
Good morning, Senator. Darrell Griffith, Executive Director, Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. I'm joined by my Chief Disaster Recovery Officer, David Martin.
Thank you. Director of Finance and Administration, Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority.
Good morning, Senator. Good morning to all. This is Nathan Simmons, Director of Finance and Administration, Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority. And I'm joined today by the PFA's General Counsel, Attorney Key Walker.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from the strategy group, Mr. Ingerman?
Of the strategy. Sorry. Good morning, Senator. Good morning, all. This is John Ingerman, CEO of the strategy group. I am joined by my legal counsel, Mr. Greg Ferguson.
Very well. Mr. Ingerman, if you could just turn your camera on so that you could be visible. We'd appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay.
My camera is on.
Very well. Thank you. Madam Clerk, at this time, you have any correspondence to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. President.
You may proceed. Those on the camera right now, video, please turn your device on mute at this point. You may proceed, Madam Clerk.
Honorable Novelli Francis Jr., Senate President, 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands, Christiansted, Virgin Islands 00820. Dear Senator Francis, Avera is in receipt of your invitation dated July 30th, 2020, to attend the Committee of the Whole hearing scheduled for Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. The hearing asked us to provide testimony on the proposal contract with the Department of Health. Due to the fact that the proposal submitted to the Department of Health contains proprietary information not for public discussion, and there is no contract between Avera and the Virgin Islands Department of Health or any other government agency, Avera respectfully declines your invitation to appear. If there is a specific inquiry that you wish Avera to speak to, we will be glad to provide the answers in writing. Sincerely, Michael Pemberton, CEO, Avera, LLC.
Any other correspondence, Madam Clerk?
No, Mr. President. That concludes the reading.
Very well. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go to the testifiers to proceed with their testimony. And the order that we'll be following today is as you've been called earlier today, which is we'll start with Anthony Thomas, then we'll go to Commissioner Encarnacion, Commissioner Oriol, Director Williams Octolane, Executive Director Darrell Griffith, Mr. Nathan Simmons, Director of Finance, and then we'll go to the strategy group, Mr. CEO John Ingerman. At this time, Mr. Thomas, you may proceed with your testimony.
Good morning, Honorable Senator Novelli Francis Jr., Senate President, Senator Myron D. Jackson, Vice President, Senator Alicia V. Barnes, Secretary, Senator Marvin A. Blyden, Majority Leader, Honorable Committee Member, Senator Kurt A. Vailey, Senator Allison L. Degazan, Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory, Senator Stedman Hodge Jr., Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff, Senator Janelle K. Sarr, Senator Javan E. James Sr., Senator Kenneth L. Gittin, and Senator Neil Bobby Thomas of the Third Legislature, fellow testifiers, persons present, listening, and viewing audiences. I am Anthony David Thomas, Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Property and Procurement. I am present pursuant to Senate President Novel E. Francis Jr.'s invitation to provide testimony on the procurement and contract management policies, no bid contracts awarded, any contracts awarded and or in process under exigent circumstances. Please allow me to recognize my senior team members who was recognized earlier. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on the central government's procurement system, strategy, and structure. It is our hope that as the prerequisite procurement professionals, we can provide clarity and frame the correct perspective concerning the Virgin Islands procurement and contract management processes and policies. As mentioned during our July 10, 2020 fiscal year 2021 budget hearing, DPP is enthralled with the opportunity to change the narrative of the public discourse concerning the central government's procurement functionality. Today, we further that discussion in response to the questions posed in your invitation. Let me state from the onset, the topic of procurement in this context is a very serious matter, and no one, regardless of where they are or the role they play in the procurement process, should take this public hearing lightly. As a fledgling democracy managing our destiny through democratic rule for only 50 years, mismanagement of this exercise by anyone can cause irreparable harm to this public institution and to the Virgin Islands. This body has the responsibility to conduct this inquiry with the utmost care so that the foundational tenets of the procurement system, strategy, and structure of the United States Virgin Islands is strengthened and enhanced. Our procurement and contract management policies are grounded in established laws, codified in the Virgin Islands Code and corresponding rules and regulations, and in procurement and contract management best practices. There are historical factors that must be considered to facilitate a clear and concise understanding of the nature and essence of the procurement system of the United States Virgin Islands. The Commissioner of the Department of Property and Procurement is empowered by statute to purchase and contract for all supplies, materials, equipment, and contractual services in the manner described in the Virgin Islands Code, Title 31, Sections 231 through 251, required by any and all departments, offices, board, institutions, and other agencies of the government of the Virgin Islands, except the legislative and judicial branches. Consequently, DPP manages contracts for the executive branch and therefore cannot provide insight into the contractual processes of the semi-autonomous and autonomous agencies or the legislative and judicial branches of government. Virgin Islands Code Title 31, Section 231 provides that the establishment of the function, forms, and procedures of the procurement system is the responsibility of the Commissioner of Property and Procurement. Our procurement statute establishes a default method of formal solicitation to acquire goods and services under the provisions of Title 31, Section 236, subsection A of the Virgin Islands Code, and provides for 13 exemptions to that formal bidding process in Title 31, Section 239, subsection A of the Virgin Islands Code. The Virgin Islands procurement statute follows a similar formula to the federal requirements. However, over time, federal regulations have evolved, and we are working towards achieving parity as demonstrated in our proposed amendments to the code and the development of procurement professionals. See attachments 1 and attachment 2. In furtherance of the authority of Title 31, Chapter 23 of the Virgin Islands Code, on March 2nd, 2016, former Governor Mapp executed Executive Order 477/2016 regarding the Virgin Islands procurement process. This executive order set forth in detail the statutory scheme governing procurement as enacted by the legislature under the Virgin Islands Code, Title 31, Section 231 through 251. The legislature enabled and authorized procurement-specific rules and regulations to ensure the government's procurement is supervised by high-level officials and is carried out in an efficient, fair, and consistent manner. The legislature also made it the role of the Commissioner of Property and Procurement to provide for an economic and efficient system for the procurement and supply of all property and non-personnel services. Thus, DPP has an obligation and a statutory mandate to oversee the procurement process and regulate compliance with the statute. The department and the territory cannot afford to ignore the design of the procurement statute and the benefits this design serves. Executive Order 477/2016 re-emphasized the rules and regulations that govern the procurement process in the Virgin Islands. However, the executive order did not establish the underlying structure of procurement and contract management, operations, and reporting across the government of the Virgin Islands. As a result, inherent problems with the procurement system still existed, which caused the delivery of service and products to the people of the Virgin Islands to be inefficient and delayed. with deleterious impacts on various federal programs funding and federal and local fund management. After a comprehensive evaluation of the procurement system and review of Executive Order 477/2016, we provided a plan to the governor to resolve these procurement problems. We proposed creating the Office of Procurement, Contract Management and Reporting, and the implementation of a new procurement management system and unit within the executive branch. On August 21st, 2019, Governor Bryan executed Executive Order 493/2019, establishing the Office of Procurement and Contract Management and Reporting. The OPCMR implemented just 11 months ago is a strategy designed to improve our procurement system through the professional development of procurement personnel within the central government to build competence and improve efficiency, facilitating the standardization of procurement templates and contractual documents, procedures, and workflows to achieve the maximum output with little wasted effort. In furtherance of the strategy outlined in Executive Order 493/2019, the governor, with support of DPP, submitted proposed amendments to Title III, Chapter 13, and Title 31, Chapter 23 of the Virgin Islands Code. DPP testified on these proposed amendments on February 5th, 2020, and eagerly await completion of the process to amend the statute to achieve parity with certain thresholds of the federal government, modernize the statute to allow for electronic means of advertisement, establish criteria for delegating procurement authority to user agencies, and codifying training requirements for procurement professionals in the GVI. The term no bid is a misnomer, as there is no such thing as a no bid contract. If our understanding of the term no bid contracts is correct, the appropriate terminology for no bid contracts is non-competitive contracts. The term non-competitive does not mean dubious, nefarious, or unlawful. As procurement professionals, we contend that non-competitive contracts are not the default method of procuring goods and services. They are, however, supported by the government's, by GVI's procurement and contract management laws and federal laws. Non-competitive contracts can be classified within the following categories: sole source, Title 31, Section 239, subsection 8A. Single source, Title 31, Section 239, subsection A9. And Title 31, Section 239(13) of the Virgin Islands Rules and Regulations. The right of first refusal, Title 31, Section 239A11, and Title 3, Section 74 of the Virgin Islands Code. Purchases or services from the federal government or vendors with contracts with the federal government, Title 31, Section 239A12 of the Virgin Islands Code. Similarly, federal procurement standards allow for non-competitive procurement under certain exemptions. These include 1, sole source procurement; 2, instances of public exigency or emergency where the need is so immediate a competitive process is impractical; 3, the federal grantor agency approved the non-competitive award; and 4, after multiple attempts of obtaining competition was deemed inadequate. As examples, non-competitive bid contracts may be awarded for services or goods that no other vendor can provide, such as for transportation services between St. Thomas and St. John for our students, as only 2 companies hold a franchise for transportation services. A patented product such as the software used in the tsunami sirens already in existence in the territory. Or only available water testing lab for beach water quality testing. Or government research projects being awarded to the University of the Virgin Islands, and a user agency is using a specific contractor which has been identified in its federal grant for those particular services. DPP under the Brian Roach administration has executed 561 contracts since January 2019. Of those contracts executed, DPP has processed 321 in fiscal year 2020 to date since October 1st, 2019. Of the 321 contracts, 82 were non-competitive contracts executed in accordance with our procurement laws. See attachment number 7. In order to procure goods and services using an exemption to the formal bidding process, a user agency must demonstrate compliance with the statute and rules and regulations in its request for approval to DPP. In all instances where the agency fails to comply with either the statute, rules and regulation of policy memorandum of DPP, the request is disapproved in accordance with DPP's authority to regulate procurement activity. The word exigent is an adjective meaning pressing or demanding. The existing procurement statute provides two exemptions to the formal bidding process for emergency or exigent circumstances. Pursuant to Title 31, Section 239, subsection A1, contracts may be negotiated and goods may be acquired without observing the provisions of Section 236, which is the formal bidding process, and its requirements. If the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands has declared a state of emergency and in that declaration suspended the requirements of Section 236, this provision allows the government to expedite the process to access goods and services to respond to an emergency without formal solicitation. This process was exercised in the aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria to bring immediate relief to our residents. On March 20, 2020, by executive order and proclamation, the Honorable Albert Bryant Jr. suspended certain provisions of the Virgin Islands Code, which included suspension of provisions of Title 31, Section 236 of the Virgin Islands Code for all goods and services related to the government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. See Attachment A. Subsequently, on March 23, 2020, the Department issued Memorandum Number 07-2020 to provide guidance to user agencies on the necessary steps to acquire goods and services under Title 31, Section 239A1. See Attachment 9. The information contained in Memorandum Number 07-2020 mirrors that contained in the DPP Procurement Manual and emphasized that user agencies seek as much competition as is reasonably practicable under the circumstances. At a minimum, agencies must seek at least 3 quotes or proposals. All requests, including a justification letter outlining the process followed, quotes obtained, and contracts must be routed to DPP for approval. If approved, the department would forward the contract package to the Office of the Solicitor General for approval. If approved, the package will be forwarded to the Office of the Governor for approval under Title 31, Section 239, subsection B of the Virgin Islands Code. The established regulations which require competitive negotiation in these instances is outlined in Title 31, Section 239-5 of the Virgin Islands Rules and Regulations. Excuse me. Pursuant to Title 31, Section 239, subsection A2 of the Virgin Islands Code, contracts may be negotiated and goods may be acquired without observing the provisions of Section 236, which is the formal bidding process and its requirements if there is a threat to public health, safety, and welfare under emergency conditions. Competition is required to the extent maximally practicable under the circumstances. The corresponding rules and regulations are outlined in Title 31, Section 239(6) of the Virgin Islands Rules and Regulations. The governor need not declare a state of emergency for this provision to be used. However, all other approval requirements associated with Title 31, Section 239, subsection A1 of the Virgin Islands Code equally apply under this exemption. This testimony demonstrates that there are established procedures in place to acquire goods and services pursuant to the law. The public discourse demonstrates that there is work to be done to ensure our system is perceived as fair and transparent. We began the immediate transformation of the procurement system, strategy, and structure of the Virgin Islands to create a system that was efficient, transparent, and accountable for the people of the Virgin Islands, following Governor Bryant's first State of the Territory address, where he mandated that we digitize the government. DPP's efforts are driven by the motivation to create more accountability in the procurement system. As we work to develop a sustainable procurement system, the OPCMR delivered training to 115 procurement personnel, and for the past 11 months continues to evaluate their progress while providing agency-specific support. An investment in Virgin Islanders like this has never been done before. The OPCMR's model does not offer one-time training without follow-through and assessments. The OPCMR is a platform for continued professional development and recruitment of qualified personnel to effectively improve the procurement system, strategy, and structure. As an implementation strategy, DPP OPCMR targeted the 9 most critical departments to address the procurement and contract management activities. As stated during our budget hearing on July 10, 2020, some departments are missing critical personnel to finalize the development of a procurement division within its department. Most departments have identified a chief procurement officer, but are in need of contract administrators and contract specialists to provide the support required to properly manage the procurement system of the GBI. This exercise underscores the need to adequately staff agencies with staff with the requisite skill set and aptitude to manage the procurement process. As of November 2019, DPP transitioned from a paper-driven operational model to a paperless one that hallmarks a more committed, accountable, and cost-efficient model. Additionally, amendments to Title 3, Chapter 13, and Title 31, Chapter 23 of the Virgin Islands Code, as it relates to the Department of Property and Procurement, and annual training standards for OPCMR members would allow for streamlined processes, consistent practices, and ultimately a more efficient process. Further, to continue our investment in such a great undertaking, the department, in partnership with the Department of Labor and the University of the Virgin Islands, is working towards the development of a procurement certification program, providing continuous professional development to procurement personnel. Mr. President, this concludes my prepared testimony, and we stand ready to answer any questions the committee may have.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Thomas, for your testimony. At this time, we'll go to Commissioner Encarnacion. You're recognized for your testimony.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Senate President, Honorable Noble E. Francis, Jr., Chairman of the Committee and of the Whole, Vice President, Honorable Myron D. Jackson, committee members, and listening and viewing audience. I am Justa E. Encarnacion, Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Health.
1 second, Commissioner. Can we get you to turn your camera on?
My camera actually is on, Senator. I'm not sure. I actually see it on, so I'm thinking that it's on. And I actually came logged off and logged back on just to be sure. So I'm actually showing my camera on. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay,
Would you like me to log in and log out and log back in?
If you could just attempt to turn the cameras on again. Your voice is good, but your video is not showing.
Yeah, no, my video has been on all along, actually. I'm not sure what to do. I can log off and log back in again and see if that helps.
Very well. Let's try to do that while we go to Commissioner Oreo from DPNR in the meantime.
Okay, sure.
Commissioner Oreo?
Yes, good morning, Senator. Just checking, can you see me?
Yes, we can. You may proceed.
Thank you. All right, I will begin. Good day, Senate President Novell E. Francis, Jr., members of the 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands, legislative staff, and members of the public viewing over various forms of media. My name is Jean-Pierre.
What she just did so far? You didn't see her at all?
Please, Commissioner Encarnacion, if you could just mute while you're doing that transfer, we'll appreciate it. Proceed, Commissioner Oreo. Sorry about that.
Oriole was
One second. Attorney Dwayne Henry, if you could mute your device. So Commissioner, can you mute your device? Your voice is bleeding into the testimony of Commissioner Ori at this time. Commissioner Ori, you might proceed. Commissioner Ori, we're not hearing you at this time, Commissioner. Commissioner Ori, 1 second. We're not hearing you. The committee will stand in recess for 1 minute while we address some technical issues. Committee stands in recess for 1 minute.
Yeah, Bobby.
Every time I see a red rose or red wine, I can't get you out my mind.
We're out of recess, Commissioner
Yes, we
Oriole.
can.
We apologize, and we were having some technical
Thank you.
difficulties in being able to hear you. So we'll ask that you start over with your testimony, please.
Sure thing, Senator. Okay. Good morning, Senate President Novell E. Francis Jr., members of the 33rd Legislature of the Virgin Islands, legislative staff, and members of the public viewing over various forms of media. My name is Jean-Pierre L. Oriole, and I am the Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources. The Department of Planning and Natural Resources is present today at your request to answer questions related to, quote, the $271,000 contract with the Strategy Group. First and foremost, as I said during my budget hearing testimony on July 16th, and I say again for the record, DPNR does not have a contract with the Strategy Group. However, we do have a task order administered through the Public Finance Authority with Whit O'Brien's for the administration of our Fisheries Disaster Recovery Program. For your understanding, I will lay out in chronological order how we arrived at this task order. In 2018, Congress passed the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018, which included a number of disaster recovery projects for the states and territories affected by the storms of 2017. In 2018, DPNR submitted to NOAA's National Marine Fisheries Service a survey of the losses encountered by the fishing industry as a result of the passage of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. In late 2018, NIMS informed the USVI that we would be eligible for approximately $10 million in grant funding to assist the fisheries of the territory in its recovery from the impacts of the storms. In April 2019, the National Marine Fisheries Service announced that the Federal Office of Management and Budget had released the funds for the fisheries disaster relief programs to the National Marine Fisheries Service. DPNR submitted its application to NOAA in May 2019, and funds were awarded to the territory in August of 2019. DPNR created the budget plan for the award. It received approval from the territorial OMB, and it was entered onto the system by the Department of Finance in November 2019. From its inception, the program was created with the intention of having an outside contractor develop the program, from applications and required submittals to a tracking database, consistent with the requirements of the award from the National Marine Fisheries Service. The contractor would be responsible for assisting fishers with the application process, reviewing applications and supporting documentation for eligibility criteria, and providing a recommendation to DPNR for liquidation. The program was never intended to be run in-house. The goal was always to secure a contractor to provide case management services in reviewing applications and ensuring compliance with award and program guidelines. In January 2020, pursuant to Title 31, Virgin Islands Code Section 239A4, DPNR sent out requests for proposals to 5 case management firms, as well as to a recent retiree from DPNR who is intimately familiar with the Division of Fish and Wildlife and the Disaster Recovery Program, requesting proposals to handle the administrative process for the Fisheries Disaster Program. DPNR received 2 written responses, including one from the retiree with the respective proposals of how they would execute the administration of the program. The bid review team determined that the proposals were non-conforming and asked the respondents to revise their proposals. It was at such time that the retiree removed their proposal from consideration, thereby leaving the department with only 1 bid, and a decision was made to solicit public bids for the administrative portion of the program pursuant to Title 31, Virgin Islands Code Section 236. The public bid period commenced on February 26, 2020, and ended on March 26, 2020. Only 1 bid was received, the same bid submitted by the case management firm that was deemed non-conforming. The review committee, now comprised of DPNR and Department of Property and Procurement personnel, again deemed that the bid was non-conforming. Given the non-conforming bids, DPNR was faced with 2 main choices. A, to go back out to public bid for an additional 30-day period, or B, revise the budget plan for the award, taking all of the funds from other services and placing them in the personnel and fringe category, and then going through the hiring process for individuals to execute the program. Given the level of public outcry, including pleas from this body, to get the funds out to the fishers, we did not want to take either of these measures as it would mean additional delays in executing the program. That is when DPNR reached out to the Public Finance Authority to discuss whether or not, under the terms of their existing contract with O'Brien for assistance with disaster recovery related services, if the administration of DPNR's disaster recovery program could fall under the scope of work. A meeting was held between the parties to include the strategy group, who is an approved subcontractor under the O'Brien contract, to go over the scope of services DPNR was seeking, and it was determined that these services were in line with the scope of the existing contract. Following this determination, DPNR contacted the Department of Property and Procurement and provided its justification to enter into an agreement with the PFA for the administration of the program. DPP deemed the justification consistent with the procurement policies of the GVI pursuant to Title 31 Virgin Islands Code Section 239A, issued its approval of the justification on April 23, 2020. DPNR began working with the Whit O'Brien team in May 2020 and launched the recovery program on June 1, 2020. To date, 106 applications have been received, 70 have been approved, and 48 applicant payments in the amount of $207,500 have been liquidated, with the potential for an additional 22 payments to be liquidated on Thursday, August 6, 2020. At DPNR's budget hearing, questions were raised by the body regarding the execution of an agreement between DPNR and the PFA to pay for the services being provided by the consultants assisting DPNR with the administration of this program. DPNR agrees that there is a contract in place between the PFA and Whit O'Brien's not to exceed $80 million for services related to disaster recovery. However, it is important for this body and the public to understand that payment for these services is done on a project-by-project basis using the management costs approved for each project. Therefore, in order to compensate the consultants for the services being rendered, a funding source is necessary for the administration portion of this program. Therefore, DPNR is in the process of executing a memorandum of agreement with the PFA in the amount of $271,653 for the administration of this program. $221,653 is available for charges related to the review and verification of applications for liquidation. $50,000 is set aside for program assistants to be hired, one in each district, to provide direct assistance to the fishers with the application process as the program continues. A draft agreement was shared with the PFA, and its board of directors approved the draft agreement in their June 2020 meeting. We anticipate finalizing this agreement within the next 2 weeks. I hope this testimony provides the clarity as to the process DPNR used to execute the Fisheries Disaster Recovery Program to execute payments to the fishers affected by the storms of 2017. To be clear, DPNR followed the procurement procedures of the GVI in soliciting for a contractor to execute the administrative responsibilities of this program. After executing 2 solicitation processes, which did not result in a properly responsive bid, the department sought the assistance of the PFA, specifically because we believed the contract they had in place could bring resolution to our search. DPNR sought and received approval of the procurement arm of the government of the Virgin Islands prior to working with the consultants. In closing, I would just like to end the way that I began in responding to the question posed in the invitation by saying DPNR does not have a contract in the amount of $271,000 with the strategy group, nor did we violate the procurement laws of the territory of the Virgin Islands in the execution of our Fisheries Disaster Recovery Program. This ends my testimony, Senate President, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Orio, for your testimony. And next we'll go to Commissioner Encarnacion. You are recognized for your testimony at this time.
Senator, I logged in and logged back out. Can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, good day, Senate President. I'm going to start over again. Honorable Novel E. Francis, Chairman of the Committee on the Whole, Vice President, the Honorable Myron D. Jackson, committee members, and the listening viewing audience. I am Justa E. Encarnacion, Commissioner of the Virgin Islands Department of Health. I have with me today Dr. Nicole Cragwell-Sims, my Assistant Commissioner, my attorney, Dwayne Henry Esquire, Chief Legal Counsel, and Doris Harley, Chief Procurement Officer. Senator, I welcome the opportunity to provide my testimony and answer any questions you may have regarding the conversations had between Avera Inc. and the government of the Virgin Islands Department of Health. As it relates to Avera, I understand the community's concern on the appearance of a conflict of interest. On July 23rd, the Department of Health notified Avera, Inc., that we
Commissioner, can I ask you to just slow
proposal.
down a little bit? The recorder needs to be able to record your words. If you could just slow down a bit.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, just as it relates to Avera, I understand the community's concern on the appearance of a conflict of interest. On July 23rd, the Department of Health notified Avera, Inc., that we disqualified the proposal sent by them due to their failure to submit the corporate documents on time, and we're pursuing other options for electronic contact tracing. Note that the department also received a letter from the Honorable Senator Kurt A. Viale as chair of the Finance Committee on the matter of Avera, Inc. Thus, a letter that reflects this testimony provided today has also been sent to his office as requested. On March 13, 2020, Governor Albert Bryan issued an executive order and proclamation that, in addition to other things, suspended the provision of Title 31, Chapter 23, Section 236, open market purchases for procurement of goods and services related to COVID-19 or coronavirus preparedness and response. Additionally, the Department of Property and Procurement's Commissioner Anthony D. Thomas issued Memorandum Number 007-202 detailing the suspension of provision and the required steps for procurement of COVID-19 goods and services. The memorandum expressly required that any COVID-19 procurement be made pursuant to the executive order suspension and the departmental requirements. Data collection, tracking, and tracing of critical information surrounding COVID-19 cases continue to be a crucial need in our mitigation efforts of COVID-19 in the territory. We have since submitted a request for bid proposal or resubmitted a request for bid proposal. For informational purposes, the request for bid proposal was also submitted to the University of the Virgin Islands Caribbean Exploratory Research Center, or CERC. Further, in researching other options, our federal partner, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, has linked us with other options currently being used by other public health systems. We are also pursuing options that will yield similar outcomes, as the need to expand our tracking and tracing capabilities is critical to mitigating the transmission of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes the disease COVID-19. To further clarify the need to expand our contact tracing from a manual process to one that incorporates technology to capture and analyze data on a broader scope, I would like to expound upon the definition of contact tracing. Many different interpretations are circulating regarding the purpose of the need for electronic contact tracing data. Contact tracing is described by CDC thusly: contact tracing is used by health departments to prevent the spread of infectious disease. In general, contact tracing involves identifying people who have an infectious disease or cases and people who they come in contact with or contacts, and working with them to interrupt the disease spread or the link. Contact tracing is used to refer to those with an infectious disease to treatment and appropriate social services. For COVID-19, contact tracing includes asking people with COVID-19 to isolate and ensure that their contacts quarantine at home voluntarily. Contact tracing is also performed for other infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, sexual transmitted diseases such as chlamydia, syphilis, or HIV. Those who perform contact tracing are known as disease intervention specialists, surveillance officers, or most commonly today, contact tracers. The discussion surrounding Avera, Inc. has been described as proposing a purchase of contact tracing services or simply performing contact tracing. However, this simplification has shown to be misleading for many community members. It could therefore be used to make a distinction to clarify some of the federal COVID-19 funds in question have been proposed to be used to contract the services of a company to provide significant data that increases our ability to contact trace. The options are: some companies acquire electronic data using an app that is voluntarily installed on consenting person's phone. Some companies require persons to log into a pre-existing site to input their data. Other companies add the option of sending electronic reminders to input needed data. All companies will contact the local Department of Health with identified symptoms. The option spoken of would assist with the identification of travel within the territory and allow contact tracers to notify businesses and agencies who may have had a possible exposure to COVID-19, as well as contact other individuals who have a potential exposure. In addition, this type of contact tracing could keep track of any follow-up testing. We are seeking electronic contact tracing and tracking of individuals, as well as a formation of a depository of digital information. Some may have concerns about the use of electronic data collection. It should alleviate concerns that the data tracked would be strictly confidential and would not be sold, leased, or distributed to any other organization besides the Department of Health. As I conclude, Senators, I ask that you note that the Department of Health has not entered into a contract for contact tracing. As always, the Department of Health is committed to reducing health risk, increasing access to quality health care, and enforcing health standards. We can only accomplish this goal through the hard work of our leadership and all team members. The department commits to continue our collaborative efforts with the members of the 33rd Legislature. Senators, this concludes our testimony. Thank you for your support of our efforts to improve the Department of Health's services to our community. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Encarnacion from the Department of Health. Next, we'll go to Director Adrian Williams-Octelain, Office of Disaster Recovery. You're recognized for your testimony.
Thank you. Good morning, Senate President Novell E. Francis Jr.,
Morning.
members of 33rd Legislature, fellow testifiers, and the listening and viewing audience. I am Adrian L. Williams-Octelain, Director of the Virgin Islands Office of Disaster Recovery. I appear here today to provide testimony on the contract with Witt O'Brien's and any other no-bids contracts utilizing CDBG DR funds. The Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority, under the prior administration, procured the services of Witt O'Brien's LLC to provide support to the territory in the aftermath of the 2017 hurricanes. The firm was engaged to assist the government in coordinating its recovery efforts from recent hurricanes and from disasters that may occur in the future. A contract with Witt O'Brien was executed on November 30th, 2017. The contract has been amended 3 times prior to my tenure, first on April 12, 2018, and then on August 2nd, 2018, and ultimately on December 28, 2018, increasing the yearly compensation cap from $15 million to $85 million in year 1 and $80 million for each year thereafter. The terms of the contract are until the completion of the services or 5 years from the effective date, with an option to extend for 2 years to a maximum of 9 years, whichever occurs first. Witt O'Brien has provided grant application, programmatic and policy guidance, project development and management services for federal disaster recovery programs, FEMA Public Assistance and a Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, HUD's Community Development Block Grant Program, Disaster Recovery Program, Federal Highway Emergency Relief, and other federal disaster programs. Funding for those services of Witt O'Brien is eligible for reimbursement through the federal program's administrative costs. The Office of Disaster Recovery, established within the Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority in February of 2019, serves as the center of coordination for federal disaster recovery funds across all governmental departments, semi-autonomous agencies, and private and nonprofit entities. Consequently, while the Public Finance Authority manages the payment processing of Witt O'Brien services, ODR provides direction and oversight of the activities of Witt O'Brien. The ODR has assessed the services and the accompanying costs that have been incurred by Witt O'Brien to date. The results supported the need for controls and processes to be implemented for all current and future engagement with recovery consultants. In October of 2019, ODR implemented a consultant engagement process, which requires all work being performed by the consultants to be approved by the engaging department and ODR. All assignments are issued through task orders, and work plans are submitted and approved prior to the commencement of work. To date, the territory has obligations totaling $3.5 billion across several funding sources. DeWitt O'Brien's contractor investment is 5% of this amount. ODR has been focused on managing the work of the recovery consultants and providing performance metrics and clear lines of scope for continued services. Simultaneously, the office has been steadfast in assisting agencies in building capacity through trainings and the addition of staff to manage and administer their projects, which would result in less reliance on consultant support in the future. As it relates to no-bid contract utilizing CDBG-DR funds, the Office of Disaster Recovery has not executed, is not engaged, nor overseeing any no-bid contracts utilizing recovery funds. Ensuring compliance with federal regulation is a key mission of this office. As such, every facet of program delivery, from solicitation to project initiation, is completed in the firmest accordance to federal guidelines. This responsibility is not taken lightly, as the repercussions would be detrimental to the territory. Mr. President, this completes the Office of Disaster Recovery's testimony on the contract with DeWitt O'Brien and any other no-bid contracts utilizing CDBG-DR funds. I remain available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Williams Octolin. At this time, we'll go to the Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, Director Daryl Griffith.
Good morning, Senator Novell Francis, President of the 33rd Legislature. Of the Senators present and the listening and viewing audience, I'm Daryl Griffith, Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. Today, I appear before you with my Chief Disaster Recovery Officer, Mr. David Martin, to provide you with the procurement process overview and steps taken that led to our selection for the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority RFP number 004-2020 DR St. Croix St. Thomas Public Relations and Marketing Communication Services. On March 3rd, 2020, the authority solicited proposals from qualified licensed individuals and/or firms to provide public relations and marketing communications across a wide variety of platforms to further amplify the community development block grant disaster recovery initiatives with an administration of U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development CDBG-DR funds. The RFP was issued pursuant to VIHFA's procurement policy, competitive proposal, Section B, and formal solicitation. The authority needs to facilitate the continual operations of the CDBG-DR program as Federal Notice 6109-N-02 requires states and local governments to analyze disaster risk using data and meaningful community engagement. The Federal Register Notice encourages grantees to seek and respond to public comment, disseminate accurate information, and provide public transparency in the administration of the CDBG-DR funds. After identifying the need for public relations and to adhere to guidelines set forth by the VIHFA as a grantee, a request for procurement form was approved on February 20th, 2020, which initiated the procurement process. The VIHFA's RFP was forwarded to the Office of Disaster Recovery, the Daily News, VI Source, and posted on VIHFA's website. The first advertisement was published on March 3rd, 2020, notifying the general public of services being requested and all options to receive copies of bid documents. The final notice was advertised on March 25th, 2020, and bids were to be submitted on or before Monday, April 2nd at the VIHFA office locations. 4 addendums were sent out for this solicitation, notifying the public of changes to the schedule due to COVID-19 restrictions, questions and answers from potential bidders, and additional clarification to answers provided by the authority. A pre-bid conference was originally scheduled on March 12, 2020 at our Demerara location. However, the conference was rescheduled via telephone to practice social distancing as recommended by the Center for Disease Control in an attempt to curtail the spread of COVID-19. The RFP's anticipated schedule was amended